Hey, distance learners, today your goal is to read these couple pages that I have posted and then to take some notes on them. So just to kind of help you out, because this is the first time we're doing this, I'm going to go ahead and read aloud and then I'll kind of pause and say, if I was a fifth grader in Miss O's science class, what notes should I take down in my notebook? How can I pick out the most important parts? So again, what I'll do is I'll kind of read each section and then I'll pause the video. I'll put some notes underneath the doc cam here just so you can kind of copy down what I copied down. It might be helpful to add these to your science notebook for an upcoming test. So I know it's not super easy to see all of the words because of some glare. So that's why I've also posted a separate file of just the pictures of the words. So erosion and deposition. Materials such as rock particles on Earth move. Wind, water, and ice can carry particles from one place to another place. The movement of materials away from one place is called erosion. Gravity is the main force causing erosion. In a landslide, gravity quickly pulls rocks and soil downhill. Landslides often occurring during earthquakes and after heavy rains. Landslides are more likely to happen on steep slopes with no trees. The materials moved by erosion end up in other places. Deposition is the process of laying down materials such as rocks and soil. These sediments can be deposited in different places by wind or flowing water. This process may happen quickly or it may take a long time. So if you're a fifth grader, go ahead and pause the video, write down what you think is most important. These are the notes that I thought were the most important part of this first little topic. Usually a kind of a key point is that when you see something highlighted in yellow, that's going to be a vocabulary word you're going to want to know. So I wrote down the vocabulary word erosion. Again, this is the movement of material away from one place. They also talked a lot about landslides, so I said landslides are caused by gravity. And just kind of as I'm reading, I like to kind of doodle. So I tried to draw a little landslide. As you'll find out, I am not very good at doodling, but I try my best. Um, Deposition was the other word highlighted in yellow, so that signals to me that it's important. This is the process of laying down materials such as rocks. Then I wanted to talk a little bit more about that because I needed some more detail for myself, and this happens with wind or water. So again, if you weren't sure what to add, you can pause the video here and kind of copy down what I copied down. All right, let's move on to the next part. Water erosion and deposition. Moving water causes much of the erosion that shapes the Earth's surface. Water can also deposit materials in other places to create new landforms. Rivers, rain, waves, ocean currents, and glaciers are all forms of moving water. Let's start with rivers. Gravity causes rivers to flow. As rivers flow downhill, they pick up and carry sediments such as rock, soil, and sand. These sediments can erode the riverbeds by grinding against the riverbed again and again. The faster a river flows, the more sediments it can carry and the heavier those sediments can be. Rivers also erode the land around them. A fast-flowing river can form a V-shaped valley. Slow rivers form looping bends, which erode the sides of the valley and make it wider. The deposited material from the rivers forms areas called deltas. So that was a lot of information. So again, pause the video, write down your notes. So for my notes for this one, I see that I'm going to do a couple different ones. I'm going to do rivers, rain, waves, and glaciers. So I'm going to keep these all intact by a river here on the side. So rivers flow downhill. They also emphasize that a faster river carries heavier sediment. V-shaped valleys, and it can form a delta, which I tried to draw here at the bottom. All right, let's move on to rain. Okay. Rain can loosen sediments from the soil and carry them away. Rain can cause flooding in low, flat areas. Flooding damages soil, roads, and buildings. Rainwater flowing over bare farm fields on slopes can erode tons of soil and deposit it downhill. To prevent soil erosion, farmers plow furrows perpendicular to the field slope. The furrows catch rainwater, keeping the rain from carrying the soil away. Go ahead and let's pause and let's do our notes. All right, for my notes on this one, I did rain, and this loosens the sediment. It causes floods. And so here I drew a little house and a little stop sign and it being flooded. And then I also talked about how it can erode soil on farms. And we're going to go into more detail on that later about how humans help prevent erosion or stop erosion from happening, because that's not good. So again, if you need to pause the video and take down what the notes I took down because we're practicing, that would be just great. Moving on to waves. Waves cause erosion along coastlines. As wave hit against rocks, the rocks can break. Sand and gravel in the waves act like sandpaper, weathering the rocks over time. Waves that erode one shoreline may drop sand elsewhere to form other beaches. Storms, tides, and currents can erode beaches. Grasses, plants, and planes can help hold soil in place to prevent beach erosion. Right, for this section on waves, I said that they cause erosion along coastlines. Waves break rocks over time. And that the roots help hold soil in place. So again, I kind of like to doodle, try to draw a little flower with the roots coming out there. Now we are going on to glaciers. Frozen or water frozen in glaciers can cause erosion. Gravity pulls glaciers down along a valley. As this happens, glaciers grind rocks beneath them into sediments. The glaciers deposit sediments downhill. Over a long time, the action of glaciers wears away at the bottom of a valley, which becomes U-shaped. You can see here in our picture, this is a much more U-shape. Alrighty, and for our notes on glaciers, I said that gravity pulls the glaciers. They are slow moving, the slowest one, and they can form that U-shaped valley. So we can see the difference between glaciers forming U and rivers form V-shaped valleys. So that's going to be a difference we're going to want to see. Now, on to the next page for wind erosion and deposition. Wind erosion is caused by wind blowing dust, soil, or sand from one place to another. When sand and dust blow against a rock, tiny bits of that rock might break off. These bits are immediately blown away. Wind erosion also changes sand dunes and fields. Sand dunes. Sand dunes are large, loose deposits of sand. The size and shape of sand dune depend on the speed and direction that the winds are blowing, and the amount of sand available, and the number of plants that live in that area. The stronger the wind, the farther the sand particles can move. Winds that move in a steady direction can move a dune. This kind of wind will consistently pick up sand from one side and deposit it on the other side. This process causes the entire dune to move slowly in the same direction the wind moves. Alrighty, so since this new section was called about wind and erosion, I said wind. This can caused by wind blowing dust, sand, or soil or sand. Then I went on to talking about sand dunes. So point I took from that one was that stronger wind means that the particles move farther. All right, we are on to our last little section for today, the fields. Wind erosion can be a serious problem on farms. Bare, plowed fields can become very dry. Winds can blow topsoil off the fields. This topsoil is the best kind of soil for growing crops. It cannot be quickly replaced. Farmers often plant rows of tall trees along the edges to prevent wind erosion and topsoil. The trees prevent some of the wind from blowing on the fields. Some farmers are able to grow their crops with less plowing. In this way, the soil stays in larger clumps that cannot get blown away. So here in this picture, you can see the flat farm fields. Along each of the edges are lines of trees. Okay, so go ahead and take what you think is the most important part from this part. All right, for this last little part, I said that fields. This can be a serious problem on farms because it blows the topsoil. So farmers plant trees to help. Now again, if this is our first time doing these kind of guided notes together, so if you have some things that are a little bit different than mine, that's just fine. But this is just what I would put as if I was a Rockford 5th grade student in my social science class. So I will also take a picture of this and attach this to your assignment for today, Monday, just so you can take your time with it and copy down the notes as you need. So I'm guessing by the time you read it and kind of go through the video and take the notes, that's going to be about your 20 minutes of science work for the day. If you still have a little bit of extra time at the end, what you can do is you can try and go out in your area and find where you are seeing the process happening. So maybe it's out in your yard, maybe it's near the street. Make sure you're safe though, and find this process in action. Where do you see wind or water or ice moving sediment, meaning soil or the ground? So especially after a heavy rain, it's kind of nice to see how things have moved or changed. So I will check in with you guys on Tuesday and see how this went. Thank you for doing a nice job. I'll talk to you soon.